After you spend a while going for jump bugs, you start to wonder about the most intricate details of the exploit. For me, I've been looking for any ways to make them more consistent, and while I have no idea about the game's code or how it works as a whole, I can tell you I've hit quite a few jump bugs in CS. And after all that time, I can't help but wonder about some of the smallest details of this exploit. So come along with me in the final installment of my jump bug series, where we will be looking into my most absurd jump bug theories that should be taken with a few grains of salt. Alright guys, so the first jump bug theory is actually provably true, and it has to do with the height that you get from a Bhop in CS2. In CSGO, if you hit a perfect Bhop, you would be getting the same height every single time. But in CS2, you can actually get two different heights for a Bhop, and it all has to do with how fast you're going when you hit the ground. So this basically makes it so that if your route includes a Bhop at all, you have to take note of how fast you're going into the Bhop, or else the route's going to be completely random. And this is where we get into the first actual theory that can't really be proven. So sometimes when I'm going for jump bug routes over and over and over again to see if they're possible, I'll start experimenting with different speeds going into each jump bug. And for some reason, I have no clue why, but after the third jump bug, if I slow down, I seem to hit a lot more jump bugs afterwards. And that's basically the point of this video, guys, is I'm going to be providing you a ton of personal anecdotes that may or may not even be true, but they seem to work for myself, so if you apply them, they'll probably work for you. And by the way, guys, this video is sponsored by Skin Club, one of the highest rated Counter-Strike 2 casinos. Skin Club has all the stuff that you know about, like the cases and the case battles, but what you don't know is that they recently added the ability to create your own custom case and set the odds for each item in the case. Skin Club is currently running a pick'em event for the Austin 2025 Major. If you have some picks that you are confident with, I would just put it onto Skin Club and see if you win. Skin Club has all sorts of rewards for people who don't deposit, but if you do deposit, make sure you're doing it through the link in the description so I can get as much money out of it as possible. Thanks, guys. Now this next theory actually has a lot to do with the config that we're using to hit these jump bugs. So basically, in November of 2024, when Valve changed the jump bug heights that were actually working, we had found a new config that made it so that we could do the jump bug bind without having 11 megabytes of configs. And this new config also made the jump bug a little bit more consistent than the 11 megabyte config, and that is just because it was actually able to do both of the inputs at the same time, which the 11 megabyte config is unable to do. It has a 1 millisecond gap in between each input. So when we had this config, the jump bugs were incredibly consistent. And if you've been watching all these videos, you would know that you can double jump bug on flat ground, just like this. But if you go for the third jump bug, it's completely random and you're not able to do it all the time. Well, with this config, you were only able to do 2 jump bugs, and then the third one was never going to happen, ever. But you can hit the third jump bug when you're using the technically worse config that has a 1 millisecond delay. Now, another thing you should know to understand this is that when you manually jump bug in CS2, when you're doing it without the bind, without the config, you can do it in any location. It's more consistent in some locations and less consistent in other locations, but you can do it in any location if you're doing it manually. And what I found so weird about this is using the 1 millisecond delay jump bug bind is basically like using a manual jump bug, but it's a bind. Because when you're using this 1 millisecond bind, you can hit jump bugs that are not possible with a bind that actually works properly and does both the inputs at the same time. Now obviously this more consistent jump bug config that we had ended up getting patched, and we had to go back to the 11 megabyte config, so we are forever stuck with the random jump bug heights on occasion. You know, occasional random jump bug heights that I find and I'm like, oh, dude, I can jump bug that, and then I never do it again. It never happens again because it's completely random. Now my final theory about jump bugs actually has nothing to do with how they're used in game at all, and it's just something that I think that Valve is going to do to jump bugs at some point. Do you remember when CS2 came out and one of the major focuses of the trailers was that you could jump throw consistently without using a bind? Well yeah, when CS2 came out, and still to this day, you could consistently jump throw by just jumping and throwing the grenade within 200 milliseconds of each other. Now, the whole reason that they added this into the game was to make jump throw binds obsolete. But the thing is that they completely failed at doing this, because there are a ton of different jump throws, meaning there are a ton of different jump throw binds for a ton of different lineups to throw a ton of different grenades. Now, they might have made jump throws and grenades more consistent overall, but they most definitely did not make the jump throw bind obsolete. So basically, since this is the case, I could see them totally trying to redo this part of the game. Give people all the control that they had before with all the different binds, but ideally, you wouldn't have to use any binds at all. And I think the way that they would do this is they would alter the way that your movement speed actually affects the grenade being thrown. If they ever do roll out an update like this to just add consistency to this game, whether it be to the grenades or to the inconsistent jump height, I could totally see them adding some way to be able to jump bug without a bind consistently. It just seems like this is the direction that Valve is pushing the game towards. They just want things to be consistent for people all around the board, people who don't have configs, people who do have configs, people who have spent hundreds of hours in the settings of the game. They want all those people to be able to compete fairly, which makes sense. But to be able to do that, they would have to do some stuff that is pretty drastic, stuff like I just mentioned. But anyways, guys, that is what is going to bring this series to a close. If you have any friend who wants to learn about jump bugs, how to jump bug, the history of jump bugs, what a jump bug is, why people do it, why it's never going to get removed from the game, all of this stuff, you should be sending all these videos to that person just so that, you know, we're all on the same page. This stuff is awesome. Anyways, guys, thank you for tuning in to all the videos. If you actually watched all the videos, that means the world, unironically. I have spent this whole week thinking about this. So that's my week. All right. So goodbye, guys. Thank you for tuning in. It does actually help a lot, and goodbye.